In this movie, we'll introduce a common way to represent the vowel space, and we'll show how the front vowels fit in. When we put all the components of the vowel system together, the typical way to represent vowels is to use a quadrilateral. The intent of the quadrilateral is to represent the space of the oral cavity from front to back in this direction, and from high to low in this direction. Because the top teeth are slightly further forward than the bottom teeth, the higher part of the front vowel space is a little bit further front than the lower part of the front vowel space. There's not so much of this kind of variation in the back part of the vowel space, so the back part of the vowel space is usually represented by a straight up and down line. The way to think of this quadrilateral is with the oral cavity superimposed on it. The top teeth are here, the bottom teeth are here, the alveolar ridge is about here, and the hard palate goes along here, and the velum is right about there. Notice that this is not a lot of space. The front-back dimension of the front vowel space is pretty much the distance from the end of the alveolar ridge to the beginning of the soft palate. But it's big enough for all the vowels of English, and any other language for that matter. And there are a lot of vowels in English. Now this is where things get a bit tricky. The symbols used by the IPA for vowels often look like letters we use to spell words, but the sounds that these symbols represent in IPA are often very different from the sounds they seem to make in English spelling. If you know a language like Spanish, it'll be a much better guide for the vowel symbols of IPA than English is. But even if you know only English, the vowel symbols are learnable. It just takes some practice. So let's start up at the top and near the front of the mouth. At the high front part of the vowel space, we have two vowels. The first is E, as in beat. Notice that we use the symbol that looks like the English letter I for this vowel. Don't get tricked. In IPA, the symbol always represents the E sound in a word like beat. Next is the sound I, like in bit. This is a small capital I letter, and it's a little bit analogous to the short I sound that's often taught in reading and spelling instruction, although these descriptions of short and long vowels are not usually good indicators of things from a phonetic perspective. In fact, when we talk about short and long vowels later in this course, you'll see that we mean something very different from what grammar school teachers meant. So in the high front part of the vowel space, we have E and I. These two are considered to be a tense-lax pair, as we described in an earlier movie. In a tense-lax pair, the tense vowel is always going to be further toward the edges of the vowel space, and the lax vowel will always be closer to the center of the vowel space. So E is tense, and I is lax. Next, in the mid-front part of the space, we have the sound A as in bait, and E as in bet. As we mentioned earlier, the A sound is represented as a diphthong because English speakers almost always produce this vowel with a slight movement toward the I vowel at the end. This is one of the two non-phonemic diphthongs that you should remember. Like with E and I, the vowels A and E form a tense-lax pair, with A being tense and E being lax. In the low part of the front vowel space, we have only one vowel, A, like in bat. This symbol is confusing for many people because it's not the letter A followed by the letter E. It's best thought of as one character that starts up here, comes down sort of like an A, but then just continues on to the other side and finishes up over here. This is the best way to learn to write it, too. The symbol is called ash. Although some textbooks describe this vowel as lax, and other textbooks will describe it as tense, for this course, I recommend not worrying about whether this vowel is tense or lax. Only worry about tense and lax vowels where there are pairs of vowels in the same part of the vowel space. In the low front vowel space, there is only A. In the next movie, we'll add the back vowels to the vowel quadrilateral.